unfortunately, we've fallen foul of the latest COVID outbreak. So we've got a number of cases in the squad, as well as an injury issue. We've obviously got John McAtee suspended as well. So it's a challenging time, shall we say, Matt?
Sounds it, Paul, at the moment. How many COVID cases have you got then?
I'm going to stick with a number, Matt, as in a number of cases. I don't want to be absolute specific. Likewise, as we've done previously, I'm not going to obviously name any individuals, but there is certainly concern around the place. The most important thing is that these individuals are okay and not too ill with it. But we kind of, I guess, we're testing every day. We're keeping his eye very much on the ball in terms of the bigger picture, because I think obviously this is nationally as well. It certainly isn't a Grimsby Town problem, and unfortunately, I can only see the matter getting worse.
Will the game go ahead then?
Yeah, my understanding is it will. I think because certainly it's an FA fixture as well, Matt, which to my understanding is that every player that's registered is available, which would include all of the youth team as well. So I don't think there's any issues at all in terms of the game going ahead.
Should the game be going ahead though?
Look, it's not really for me to make that call. That's not my job. I've genuinely got a concern, as I think others and people again in much higher positions than myself, concerns are out there. To the point where we're getting the government suggesting that if you go to a stadium at the weekend, it's for a vaccine, not to watch a sporting event. And that's not a great message to start with. So, look, as far as my job as manager is to prepare a team to play Stockport, and that's certainly what we are doing as much as we can do normally. That's what we're doing. We'll look at Stockport, we'll look at our shape, we'll look at who's available and try and win the game of football.
It would be remiss of me not to ask you how the players are concerned. Can you bring us up to date?
Yeah, apart from having some symptoms to, I guess, highlight the need for a PCR test, they're actually pretty good overall. So hopefully that can be the case and continue. And again, I guess fits with the general, I guess, trend, if you like, of COVID at the minute. And as I said, the most important thing is that they are okay. The kind of, I guess, follow on to that is, as I've said before, it just becomes a challenging time. But I know I'm not on my own here, far from it. I'm sure there'll be there are, from what I've read at least, clubs in worse situations. And say my genuine concern with all of this is just how quickly it's rising. It was kind of suggested that would be the case a few weeks ago, and it certainly seems to be coming to fruition.
So without revealing numbers and identities, Paul, are these players that played last weekend?
I think there was certainly some players involved, yeah.
When did you find out about them, and what impact has it had on training?
I think it's got been over the course of a few days, Matt, really, from sort of last weekend through to where we're currently at. Impact wise, obviously, you kind of on tenterhooks almost of, is there going to be more? What's going to happen? Who is available? As I said, we're testing every day to try and stay on top of it as much as possible. But I think when I look at it again, the bigger picture, admittedly, we can only try to control our part, but if the Premier League clubs, with all the staff that they have, the resources available, etc., to them to try and, I guess, avoid this, and yet they're getting numerous cases themselves, so it's difficult. Preparations, you just have to adapt. That's part and parcel of it. Is it ideal? Far from it. But like I said, we have to prepare for a game of football.
What fears do you have at the moment, Paul, that this will lead to more postponements and ultimately games being played behind closed doors again?
Well, I guess I came back into the football club partway through that, and I have to say I was just pleased to be back working, pleased to be not at home. We were fortunate compared to some people, as in we can still get on with the job in different circumstances. But I've certainly enjoyed, I think everyone has, the crowd being back, and wouldn't realistically want, I don't think anyone would want to go back to that point. The bigger concern, I think, is for clubs overall. And I hopefully this is a conversation that in a few weeks' time we'll look back on, and it'll be everything's sort of, we've seen the worst of it, and it's not quite the same as it was previously. In terms of really bad consequences of people having the virus. So that's, but genuinely, I'm sure there's a lot of concerned club owners, etc. Whether other people beneath that see that bigger picture, I'm not sure, but that's, I think, without being too dramatic and getting ahead of myself or just fearing the worst, that has to be a concern for everyone.
As for just finally the game then this weekend, how do you view a departure from the league programme this week?
I think I'd always rather play the league game, Matt, as in when you often are losing the game, quite cruelly almost, I would say, last weekend. So it would have been nice to try and get the points and get back to winning ways. So not jumping for joy that it's a cup game, but at the same time, that's the programme against a team that have clearly invested heavily and have showed commitment to that with some of the signings that they've made. Last season it was even taking Paddy Madden in, bringing Quigley in, Sarcevic amongst others. They have made no secret what their ambition is, and obviously not just talk in terms of backing that up with those deals, or making those deals happen for the football club. Got a good squad, whether obviously a change of manager since we played them in that second game of the season, whether or not he chooses to change any personnel, that's obviously Dave's prerogative, but it'll be a tough tie certainly, whatever team they put out. But also, like I said, that it was a tough game, irrespective of the challenges that we're having. Whether or not Stockport are having any themselves, I'm not sure. But we expect certainly a very tough game.